Hi, Michael again. So I mentioned earlier on the forum, well, the Kickstarter page, that I would be uploading more videos. Uh, they're all going to be impromptu. They're not going to be as long as that first one, if some of you sat through it, which I know some did, but you know. But it is the second day I've on the printer. So yesterday I received it. I played with it a little bit today, some last night. I was feeling under the weather, so I didn't really do all that much except for make the video and then go back to sleep. So I played with it a little bit today, played with the settings, and I had some Polymaker to play with. So as you may have seen, I printed up the Benchy. Uh, has support, not supposed to. Overlook that. Um, and so from there I went. In the morning, this morning, I printed up one of the low poly Bulbasaurs on Poly Plus PLA, and the preset temp was about 10 degrees too high, so the wrap was extremely difficult to remove. In fact, it really doesn't. I could remove it with pliers or a scraper or something like that, but there's no real point in doing that. Most wraps and supports should be hand removed without any effort. So I redid it. I dropped the temp by 10 degrees, and it came out perfectly. Changed the color just a little bit. But it worked out very well. So from there, I just went to a slightly more complex, but not really model, one of these. If any of you guys showed up to CES, you may have seen one of these, but it wasn't this size. It was roughly, this is scaled twice. The one we did was scaled 10 times. So it was roughly about like bigger than this printer, essentially, done over 2 days. But so that's about all the printing I've been able to do. I'm only just now getting to this later on in the day. It is actually now night. But I wanted to go over a few things that I did notice with the software and with the printer itself. So bear with me. I don't have a capture software yet. I'm going to be upgrading some stuff if I keep this up, because I know the sound quality is not great, and picture's okay, but it could be better, and of course you guys want to be able to see what I'm talking about rather than me speaking about it and then you guys seeing it, possibly, when you get it. Anyways, I'm running the newest Cetus software. I picked it up, of course, yesterday, and then I rechecked because someone said there was a new release. I'm not sure if it's the same one from last night, but I'm going to assume it is. I did re-download it today at work and then try it. It seemed the exact same. So the thing I mentioned where the print head dropped all the way to the platform, that only happened once on the very first print. It did not happen again, so I'm not sure what happened. Apparently that was a slight bug, and the print head is supposed to now park itself up at the top, just as it is now when it's done with a print. I haven't noticed it do it again, so great. And then onto the very few things I've noticed that are a slight issue, but not at all an issue. And you'll get it. So for one, the extrusion time, the amount of time it takes to extrude on running extrude or retract. Retract is fine. It could be a little bit longer because sometimes the filament will get the tip of the filament will get right to the gear and then stops you. Even when it retracts and stops the command, there's a little bulb at the end that can't be pulled, and if you try to yank it, it'll break off, and it could cause a blockage. But that would just be simply removing this white bracket piece that holds the filament in between the gear and its bearing. So not a problem. A little bit longer, maybe a second longer. What I see as my problem is I like to clean out the nozzle. Okay, so when you go and run a new filament in, I don't like my raft to have whatever was left over from before. It's a little bit of just a habit. It's not necessary, but it would be great if the extrusion command was about 3 seconds longer, because that's about how much extra time I normally need. So I normally run 2 extrude commands. Not at all any sort of deal killer or anything like that. It's just preference. So 1 second longer on retract, 3 on extrusion. That seems to be where I would like it to be, but you know, edit and change as you will. Eventually, I'll probably switch over to Cetus3D because of just the amount of options they have for controlling the printer. And I do want to eventually put this into a heated bed format, so I will need to be able to run into that. Secondly, the Cetus software. Inside of it, there is, when you go to set the custom profile for your filament settings, it does still require you to put in a heat bed temp. I know this is carried over from the tier time software, but it is annoying because I went to the first couple times and I always set 0 because I knew, okay, well, obviously there isn't a heat bed temp currently. So I set it to 0 and it goes, nope, you can't do that. And so you have to set it a minimum of, I think, 60. It might be 50. I didn't check. So it'd be nice if that was just patched out. It doesn't need to be there. Even though the software is still reading the thermistor that is for the bed, for me it reads like 27 Celsius all the time, regardless of where I am. So even if I check right now, I'm sorry, not 27, 17.32. Not necessary to be there, but okay. I mean, it's fine. It's at the top. I don't care. Otherwise, the rest of what I've been running through is pretty nice. The software seems to run really well. I see. Oh, it's skin. Okay. Okay. I got sidetracked. I saw a little T-shirt thing. I was like, ooh, maybe they have a shop that I could get a T-shirt for, and then have a T-shirt on. I collect different companies' T-shirts when at all possible. Some people will see me occasionally trying to trade really cool STLs that I've made for a T-shirt or two or something like that from the company. It's just fun. I don't expect them to give it to me because honestly, it'd be like repping the company when I'm not really allowed to. Oh, I can see the screen is just changing colors as I move. I'm sorry, guys. Maybe better lighting's in order too. Okay, so aside from that, really solid. I did just take this thing off the bench here, drop it into my bench at work, plugged it in, installed the software, and just started running. There was no issues with that. I was very happy that I was able to do that. That's pretty much one of my tests for the smaller units, is being able to just carry them around and drop them in print whenever. We need that at shows. We need that everywhere else, and because that shows a lot of reliability when the printers, because that can show like, oh, over time you'll hit the table, you'll do something, you'll rock it around, and if it stays rock solid, great. Okay, what was next? Other than that, I'm going to be running through some of the white PLA that is provided by from where Octave gets their PLA. So typically we've got pretty good stuff. So this is actually just branded from the factory. It's not Octave branded. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. Same formula, everything. It's just the factories. They were kind enough to offload whatever was left over at CES. I snagged up a couple little 200-gram reels because we don't need 200-gram PLA reels to polycarbonate everything else we do. But these little guys we've got enough of. So I snagged up a couple whites and we're running them. And so obviously these models I showed you are small. I don't play with small objects normally. This printer, I'm going to be running it. When I do, it's going to be running 6 to 7 inches at the minimum normally. I'm going to be running it at the maximum build volume in most cases, unless it's 0.2 nozzle, which I will get to. I'm still experimenting on 0.4 because I want to keep it kind of consistent, because I figured as I showed this to you guys, and maybe there's 20 or 30 of you that actually watch these, maybe there's 10 of you. If anyone watches these, I want them to get the idea that you can learn from what I'm doing, because while I'm not the best at it and I will make mistakes, you can at least see the mistakes that I make and how I attempt to fix them, or what mistakes I see that are going to happen and try to get around that, or find the solution before it ever starts. That's a lot of what I do. That's a lot of what the technicians in 3D printing do. We're more of a response than a proactive course. So, because it's hard to predict what some of these machines will do. Because so far, of the 9 or 10 hours that I've been around this thing while it's printing, it's been absolutely gorgeous. There's been no hiccups in the code. There's been nothing. It's run perfectly. I'm really surprised, because I expected, while I did have a lot of hype for the machine and I did expect a lot out of it, I didn't expect it to really perform this way. All of the machines I've purchased and worked with have always had issues, and I expected this one to have small ones, and I didn't think that my issues would be complaints where I could say in about 10 seconds what they were and how easy it would be to fix them, and that they're not even really issues. So that's one of the keys here that some of you guys should take note of, is that as a technician, I don't see anything wrong with it yet. Hopefully that changes, because having problems is good. That just means you can develop more and learn from the mistakes. And as long as they aren't game breakers, then you can always build something better off of that. So finding a mistake is not going to be bad. It's actually going to be a good learning experience, and hopefully we can work through that quickly. But less of that. More of final question. Just going to keep this one shorter. In my unboxing, some of you may have seen that I've got some extra 8020s. I haven't quite figured out what these are for, because I haven't been able to find anything about them. You know, my assumption would be, oh, I could make a reel holder out of it, because as you can see, that I typically do weird things where I'll have a reel just rolling in place, unsupported, or rolling up against the printer because it can't go anywhere that way. And if I don't have a reel holder for it, that's like the easiest thing for me to do. It's a bit odd, and it does, typically if I walk away, the reel would fall over or something like that while I'm not looking at it, and cause problems. But when I'm, when I'm staring at it here, it won't do anything typically. That's just the quantum printing of it. But yeah, so these rails, I'm not entirely sure why I have them. Some people are speculating, hey, maybe it's for the extended version. I don't believe so, because I'm missing every other piece that you need for the extended version. And there are the long and short variety. So I think either these are going to be replacement parts for later, even though these suckers don't bend, or not easily. I don't think these parts are going to wear down, so I'm probably going to toss Cetus an email unless they see these videos and tell me what it is. I don't have any direct contact with them. If any of you guys thought I did, that's incorrect. I may have said that I did say that I had some contact, but it's with the Tier Time side, not with Cetus. As I understand it, they are a completely separate division inside of the branch of Tier Time, which is why I call them not Tier Time. It's not an insult, it's a kind of a, well, I don't know what to call it. It's a joking response. So, to wrap things up, good printer, no issues yet, and hopefully it prints out what I want to print. It's one of my favorite models. I will hopefully post the end results tomorrow. It's probably going to take all night, because I'm building, I think, at what looks like roughly 5.5 inches tall. It's the from Thingiverse. It's one of my favorite test models because it can be done without support. On Thingiverse, we are going to call it The Knight by Andre. It's one of those really popular ones. I've just always loved it because it is a really, really good bust. And we have a large one in the office, but the hilt of the sword on the back broke off, which is kind of unfortunate. But obviously I'm not going to be anywhere close to that size. But it's just a very good model. It's very clean and smooth, so that's what I'm hoping to see from this 0.4mm nozzle. I'm probably going to run at 150 micron, possibly 100. I'm not going to push it too much with a larger print because I want to see the results quickly. So yeah, that's where I'm going to end it. And if you guys have any suggestions on video editing software, I'm looking at a few, but I don't know what to get yet. It's going to take a lot of research, and that's all if I do keep on doing these. I don't mind spending a little bit of money, because if it's something I like to do, then I'm printing. Alright, I spend money for this stuff, so I like to do this. So, with that being said, have a good day.